Carlton Bolling is a Bradford LEA school but takes pupils whose origins lie in many parts of the world. We have a Pakistani, Bangladeshi cohort of students who are in fact the majority here. In more recent times we've enjoyed an increase in the numbers of students coming to us who have Roma heritage from various parts of Central and Eastern Europe. The issue that we hope that the project would address is the fact that we have a number of monoglot Hungarian speakers and monolingual Slovak speakers, and that was a mismatch with our skill set in terms of EAL provision, and we were looking for a creative way to enhance language provision quickly.
The clock is on the shelf.
And we're looking at innovative ways in order to engage and to re-enthuse and to invigorate a language acquisition which hitherto hasn't been present.
Freedom Studios were commissioned to come to the school to conduct a purposeful inquiry into how the performing arts could impact on literacy development in newly arrived students. The approach that we've taken for teaching language is to get children up on their feet and doing things and physicalising the words rather than trying to read a book that might not be appropriate to your age either.
One of the aims of this project is to really immerse the students in creative work, which allows them to express themselves in a variety of ways, with English being the medium in which the lessons are delivered, but the outcomes are not English outcomes as such.
It is an experiment, so for us in the room, it's about how do we support these young people to be better at drama, to use the performing arts to express themselves and their stories. So our function is to experiment how far can we get them in, as performers in terms of their self-confidence and the range of different ways they can express themselves, and then will that ripple out and affect the other classes. So if somebody's gone from being almost mute and cripplingly shy to being open and communicative and using, maybe they haven't learnt more words of English, but they're using the 10 words that they've got with confidence. Maybe. And for us that's a really positive impact.
Literacy, language, written and spoken English are all coming from a place of communication. And communication comes from a place of being willing to communicate and being an individual and having confidence and having belief in what it is that you're thinking and saying and who you are. Theatre works on those skills. It engages with people as valid human beings, and the effect of that, the side effect, the symptom of that is improved literacy, improved confidence when speaking, better diction, better engagement with the English language.
Each of the 3 groups we've been with has posed very different problems. So group 1, who are the group behind me, who are very newly arrived, some of them have next to no English. So we haven't been able to do anything abstract. Us asking them to tell us stories, anything like that doesn't work. Explaining bigger contexts to things doesn't work. So we're having to ground ourselves in very immediate stuff like puppetry, mask, very immediate physical storytelling styles. The second group, their English is much more advanced, but their ability to work together in a group and collaborate on projects, and their level of confidence and self-expression was quite low. The third group have lots of problems with attention span, so I have to structure things to keep moving fast.
We've had challenges that have ranged from children being so shy they can't actually stand in a circle, to children punching and kicking and fighting each other, a massive range of issues. And we've had this issue and this issue in the same group. And for me, the technique that I now have in my head is offer them something, see what they take. If they take something, go with it. If they don't, give it up. I would say that we started with a formulaic approach that essentially was the same workshop for each group, and realising that creatively they were interested in different things as a group. So we changed our approach completely. We did a 180 and started to look at what it was that they were interested in and what it was that they were responding really well to, and that's both the content and also the provocations as well. What stories were they interested in telling, and we followed them. I worked with Group 1, for example, on a book called The Arrival by Sean Tan, which is all about the process of moving from one country to another and how you learn to kind of assimilate into that country. And Group 2 were doing something really similar. They're talking about their experiences of leaving one place and having to come to another, and they've been in the country for over a year. It's taken us a long time, and they're telling us their stories now, and other people are showing it, and I think that's a really important key. What we do is skills-based a lot of the time, and trying to develop in them our performance skills. We teach them how to do vocal exercise. I do physical warm-ups with them, or I do a physicality exercise where I say lead with different parts of your body, and before we know it, they are the ones making noises that turn those leading with a body part into a creature, and then before you know it, that creature, through me allowing them to try that creature out in different environments, they've got a race of beings that metaphorically symbolise how England looks to a refugee.
What I've discovered through doing this work is that you can tackle all sorts of grammar or vocabulary by having it in a very real-world setting. So, for example, when we did the design of the masks and of the puppets, you talk about anatomy. Whereas if I was delivering that as an EAL teacher, there'd be a diagram on the board, and right, we'll point to this and we'll label this. Whereas what we did when we were creating the puppets was we talked about it. Well, physically there it is. How are we going to talk about this little creature we've created? And well, those are arms, that's a waist, and that's a head. So it's much more practical and much more real life. And I've really enjoyed the sessions in the drama Moving Around, where we've talked about emotions, because there's a huge vocabulary of emotion that people need to have to talk about how they're feeling. And these can often be very abstract in a classroom setting because you're not feeling those things. Whereas when you're trying to play a character who's afraid and you express that through your body, through your facial expression, that really communicates what that idea is. And the students get to sort of leave behind their kind of concerns and their inhibitions and the awkwardness of being in a foreign country. They leave all that behind and they're just allowed to express themselves, and they find it's immensely enjoyable, and they're learning about so many different aspects, both of creating arts but also of language.
I think it would be fair to say confidence, self-esteem and attendance have been particularly noticeable factors, but also language in terms of a willingness to engage and talk in English, a willingness to try out different situations and experience them through the use of English.
I think it's had a huge impact in terms of their enjoyment and their engagement with school. Many of these students, when I started to work with them back in January, were very reluctant to speak. They were very reluctant to have a go at the activities. They were very shy and withdrawn. And over the past 4 months or so, we've really seen them come out of themselves.
It certainly reinforced their use of English in a way which hitherto we hadn't been able to do. So students are becoming more fluent.
How do you think you've changed?
I changed with talking English.
Like how? Explain some more.
I learn with drama, learn English. And that's helped me.
First I feel scary because I don't know them. I'm shy. That's it.
And now, how do you feel?
Happy. It helped me in my English because they do this physical warm-up and it makes me talk properly and loudly. And then when we do work and the teacher says that can you read this out, you will be like, blah, 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 you'll be saying it properly.
Shakira and Tom picked us here and learn more and more in English. I know more and more English now. And people, yeah, my friend people say, how do you know the English? Yeah, I said, I learned it. I said, who learned it? I go to a drama hall, yeah.
Well, the key things we did, we changed the curriculum and indeed the line management structure of the department and the work of the AL team. The children now have access to a broad range of arts-based curriculum opportunities that can take part in music, art, film and creative pursuits in a way which we had previously denied to them because we're concentrating on a prosaic way of teaching English.
For Freedom Studios, the result of the work is that we have developed our skills and knowledge of working with young people, particularly from different communities, which will help inform our youth theatre provision. It's also, for Tom and Shakira, helped to hone their co-facilitation skills and respond to students' needs. And another very exciting thing for us is that it's helped us discover a way of navigating the ethnic and cultural identity of the students and their being now a citizen of Bradford.
Bradford has a challenging context with increasing numbers of children coming to the country from elsewhere. So there's a real need for work like this to encourage and facilitate change in schools so that the children become integrated in a way which makes sure that their ethnicity and their background isn't politicised in the way in which we've seen in recent times.
The work that we did last year with Freedom Studios has had an enormous impact on my teaching, my professional development. Before doing the work with Freedom, I was always a little nervous about drama, both in terms of the content and also in class management. But the work we did last year has really enabled me to build my confidence, and I now have 3 hours of drama on my timetable, and those are the 3 hours I enjoy the most and look forward to the most. On a professional level, I'm a much more confident teacher of drama. My English lessons are much more lively and interactive, and students are enjoying it much more than ever before. On a personal level, I think it's reawakened, I think, my sense of what is possible in education. So often it's exams, it's grades, it's targets, and it threatens sometimes to become a mechanical process, and we're just putting these kids through this machine that we call secondary education. This has reminded me that education is so much more than that.